Hey friends, over 60% of you are listening to me right now on an Apple product. iPhone, iPad, iTunes. I need your help. The truth is, Apple will make this podcast more discoverable to new listeners the more reviews it has. So I'm here asking you to take a moment and leave a review. If you've gained any value from this podcast, the greatest thing you can do for it, besides spreading the word and telling friends, is leaving a review. It's real simple. If you're on your phone, head over to my podcast page within the Apple Podcast app and leave a review. Or if you're on a computer, you can head over to my podcast page within the iTunes app. That's it. That's all I ask. And if you have other podcasts that you love, do them a favor and do the same for them. It'll make their day. Now let's get this podcast started already. Guy, I know for me, and you can speak to you, but like the summer, man, especially when I was reaching almost 400 pounds, it wreaked a lot of havoc on me as far as like breathing and just overall, like even when I was drinking water properly, it was still mess with me, man. What is a summer like for you as far as, being a bigger guy?
Yeah, more maintenance than other people. Like I said, you're right. Once you're a bigger guy in the weather, you notice it more, And for me, I sweat a lot. So I have to prepare a little more than other people, when I go outside,
Right. Now, when you say prepare, like, you mean like how you dress, or do you bring extra clothes, or how does that work?
Pretty much, yeah. Just like how I dress. Like usually, my big thing is I wear sweatpants because of the gym, and I work at the gym, so sweatpants are the easiest thing.
Yeah.
But like right now, the weather's hot. It's humid outside. I can't be wearing sweatpants, so like I'll carry an extra pair of like shorts with me, or an extra shirt because like I said, I sweat a lot.
I'm with you, man. But you know what they say, man. The sweat is a good thing, actually. Believe it or not, I'm a firm believer, man. It can be a good thing.
Oh, don't get me wrong. Yeah, when you sweat a lot, you clear out toxins faster and all that. So I do agree. But there's like certain moments, like let's say you're out with friends, or you're doing certain things that you don't want to be sweating the way you're sweating.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. I get you, man. Let's talk a little bit about your background first, because I know a lot of people, they look at you on Instagram, they see your day to day, but man, let's go back to the beginning, dude. Like how long have you kind of been, a bigger guy?
My whole life, actually. I've never been small. Like, I've never been what people consider a normal size. I've always been big. I've always been obese.
Was that like a birth thing, or was that just you ate a lot from a young age? Or like, how do you get to that point? Because I know when I was born, 9 pounds. I was considered, like a big baby. And then, of course, when you're younger, you want to eat all the treats and all that kind of stuff. So what was it for you?
For me, it was a little bit of both, actually. I've never been, like I said, I've never been like the size I was supposed to be, but I've always been big. But at the same time, when you grow up around like, the culture, like here in America, it's like fast food on every corner, fast food. Like you pass a McDonald's and a block later, you pass another McDonald's, it makes it so convenient. So like I grew up in that, like, I don't want to say, and I guess you could say I grew up in that American culture where it's like fast food, this and that, this and that. And when you're a kid, you don't really think about it, because when you're a kid, all you want to do is you want to eat the good stuff. You want to eat the sugars, the stuff that's, tastes good, but are not good for you. So.
Yeah, no, I feel you, man. I grew up on McDonald's. I mean, I feel like a Happy Meal was like a regular staple of a dinner for me in a lot of cases. I mean, my mother worked 3 jobs, and my father was never around, so McDonald's it was, it was kind of the way it was, and you get your chicken nuggets or your cheeseburger and your little toy and your little French fry, and you were on your way.
Right, yeah. My mother, I grew up with my mother working 2 jobs. My old man, he worked 1 job, but he worked 12 hours a day. So, my mom would cook at the house, and even, when she cooked, sometimes it wasn't the best food. So the easiest thing for us was like, oh, let's go get Mickey D's, or oh, let's do this,
Right.
And it was just easy and convenient, Like I don't blame my parents, I don't put my size on them, because it comes from point where you have to take responsibility for your own actions.
Sure.
But what I do believe now, if one day, if I ever do have kids in the future, I know that, from experience, from life and all that, that we're supposed to start off young, like, instead of, hey, here's some Mickey D's, you have to, raise your kids in that belief where it's like, okay, that's not good for you, this and that, instead of what's ever convenient and hands reach, like that. Well, that's my personal opinion.
No, I'm with you, dude. I my wife and I were trying to have kids, and I feel like when that time comes, it's like a fresh shot. It's like, okay, well, everything that I didn't get as far as, anything in life, not even just health. I mean, you try to, when you think about when I want to have a kid, I want to try to give it everything I didn't have, but also to kind of raise the child in a different way and hopefully not pick up the same bad habits. And look, it's never going to be perfect, but, to try to give them the best shot they have possible.
Right, yeah, of course. It's not, like you said, it's not going to be perfect, but when we go into that mindset that, all right, this didn't work for me and I ended up here, it's like you have a better understanding. So, yeah, I feel you.
100%. When you were a kid, were you very active? Did you go outside and play a lot, or were you more like a video game kind of kid? Because I know I was kind of somewhere in the middle.
See, I was the same way. Growing up, I was really into video games, but at the same time, I grew up with a lot of cousins, and we were always outside. We were always playing. It's funny because even though for a big kid, I was always active. I was playing. I was, it wasn't until I guess you can say my older teenage years where I started like isolating myself from everybody else.
Yes, man, I feel you on that, man. I feel like we have a parallel life here because I know when I was younger, I was always outside, always running around. I mean, I was damn near out of breath every time I did it, but always running around, always with the kids. I think what made me kind of seclude myself and be alone was the fact that in school, I got picked on a lot. Is that something that you dealt with, kind of in your elementary or middle school? Did you get picked on a lot?
Yeah, I see for me, I guess you could say I find myself in my situation. I was lucky because I grew up with 3 older brothers. Like I was the baby of the family. When I was born, the oldest was already like 16, 17, and the third oldest was 14, 13. So when I was born, I had people around me. So I remember when I used to go to elementary school, I used to be bullied, because it's elementary. It's like it's in that environment. And I remember I used to come home crying, either to my brothers, and I would tell them this and that.
Right.
And even though what I'm about to say may sound to some people, it may sound a little bit weird or like, oh my God, that's mean. When I used to come home, my brothers used to pick on me too. And, for a while, I used to hate it. I used to be like, why would they do this to me, this and that, this and that. But after a while, I noticed when I went to school, the same people that would pick on me, they would say the exact same thing over and over, and I would laugh. I'm like, oh my God, is that all you really have? Is that the insult that you're gonna throw my way? I'm like, dude, that's like, like I would criticize them not for what they were saying, but just your joke wasn't funny. Like my brothers make funnier jokes than you, and then I got in that like, all right, see now I gotta like let me take a step back, and then I don't want to say I would bully them back, but I'd be like, okay, you think I'm fat, and I'd be like, oh, this, and this. So I grew up in that household where it's like, no, you're not gonna let these words hurt you. You're not gonna let these words affect you. You're gonna let, like we're gonna make you have tough skin. And to this, like now that I'm where I'm at right now,
right,
I am so grateful for my brothers for putting me in that position, because even though it's like, oh, that was mean. Like, yeah, that was mean. But, this is, it sounds kind of weird, but
yeah,
in school, it's kind of like survival. That's how I felt going to school. It was like, it was a survival, like, and, because of my brothers, I was able to survive. Not only then, not only was I able to survive school, I was also able to defend myself. So it came to the point where, oh, you think you can bully me? No, it doesn't work like that.
Right.
And I would defend myself. I don't want. I guess you could say I would kind of bully the bullies, but simply because they would bully me first. I was like, dude, you leave me alone. We'll be good. We'll be set. But if you come my way, I'm gonna have.
It's going down.
Yeah, like it's like, and until this day, I still have that mentality where it's like, you want to go against me? Okay, I understand that. I don't understand why, but just so you know, if you're gonna go against me, I'm not gonna make it easy on you, and I may hurt your feelings. Like, and that may sound messed up, but like I said, it all goes back to that survival kind of mode.
Well, that's kind of interesting what you mentioned. With your brothers. I grew up an only child, Maynor. For me, I feel like maybe I wish I had some older brothers kind of picking on me in a way, because I guess it feels like in a way they were trying to toughen you up and get you ready for, hey, dude, when you get older, you're gonna need to be tougher. You're gonna need to be ready for this kind of stuff.
Right.
And that's. I wish I had brothers now. I always told my mother, I'm like, man, I need some more siblings. But and what was it like growing up in Chicago? Are you in the city of Chicago? Are you in the suburbs? Where are you at in Chicago?
I grew up in the city of Chicago. I grew up in the South Side. So like I said, when I was talking about my brothers bullying me for me to get tougher, like I said, it all goes back to the environment we grew up in, and because we knew for a fact that bullies aren't just in elementary school. Bullies are in everyday life.
Yeah.
Your boss can be a bully. People around you, and these are people older than older people that should know better, but they still, have that mentality where if I bully, I can get where I want. So you're never really gonna get away from the bullies. No matter where you go, the only thing you can do is learn to defend yourself. And like I said, I am grateful for that experience that I got from my family and my brothers.
No, that's very true, and I feel like definitely Chicago, that would be very apparent, because we always hear about Chicago's kind of a rough city or what have you, and you can speak that's true or not, but I know like even DC, and I don't live in DC, but there are certain parts of DC that are also rough. Different parts in every big city I think have their rough spots. LA, New York, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like I said, I love my city. I am from Chicago. I'm born here. I was raised here. And I love my city, and I love the beauty of it, because there is a beauty in the city. But like at the same time, you're right. There are some rough areas in the city itself, just like anywhere else. And I feel like there's so many disadvantages growing up in certain parts of the city.
Right.
But at the same time, you got to take the good with the bad. And one of the good is that survival mentality where it's like, I can't allow myself to be, I can't allow myself to be taken down, in this way. I can't allow myself to quit this certain way. It's like you have that mentality where it's like, okay, if that don't work, then we got to switch it up. Or if that don't work, then we got to switch it up, and I guess that's just a mentality from the city, too.
Sure.
So everything just plays a part,
Yeah, I feel that. I also feel like as we get we get older, in the teenage years, maybe we could talk a little bit about that, because going into high school, it's kind of when we're really figuring out who we are as a person. As a kid, it's kind of like, well, we're going out, we're playing with our friends, having fun, doing the video games, whatever it is. But once you get into high school, you start dealing with girls and start dealing with other friends and things like that, and being a bigger guy, I still got picked on, but when you got to like your high school days, how was that for you?
Well, like I said, high school, that's when everything really started changing for me, because you're right, you're high school, you're not a kid no more, but you're not quite an adult. You're stuck in an awkward phase when you're trying to figure out who you are, and there's like, you want to fit in, and there's so many like aspects to it. So for me, yeah, high school was kind of hard, just a simple fact, because I was still trying to figure out who I was, and I feel you. It was just, high school was weird. It was a weird time. It was a difficult time, but it was a necessary time, and
yeah. But by the time you got there, though, how big had you gotten by that point?
oh man, I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't even remember. I was already obese.
You weren't checking at that point, is what you're saying?
Nah, I wasn't. I wasn't concerned about it at that point. You know, I was,
I feel you. No, no, I understand. I couldn't tell you how much I weighed. I figured I'd just ask because I know. I mean, if I had to guess, probably 250, maybe. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to even put a number on it. But it's just at that time when you're dealing with females and rolling around with your crew. I mean, it's just such an interesting time. It's hard to really figure out two or three sentences to describe it because I think everybody has a unique experience during that time, but at the same time, it's kind of one and the same. You have your friends, you potentially have girlfriends and whatnot, but it's just a very life changing time.
yeah, absolutely. Because it's like, it's like in the same time, it's like you're being introduced to the real world for the first time, almost. Dealing with people from different neighborhoods, different backgrounds. So it's like, it's your first experience with the real world. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, it can be crazy sometimes.
Did you find high school rougher than like elementary school? Maybe because like the kids were older and maybe trying to be somewhat more intelligent with their comebacks, or maybe that they were bigger and maybe it was easier to pick on you, or like, what did you find rougher, elementary school or high school?
High school was way tougher than elementary school.
Yeah.
Thanks to elementary school, when I went to high school, I still had that mentality where it's like, you're not gonna get one on me,
Right.
And some of the comebacks were good, but see, that's the thing. I know it sounds kind of weird. Like if your comeback is good, if your insult is like, and this is kind of weird. Like I said, it just goes back to like how I grew up and how I still how I still am with my brothers when we get together.
Yeah.
Like if you're and I know some people may not like this, but if your insult is clever, if your insult makes me chuckle, I'm alright with you. Like okay, you can talk. For me, it's when like your insults are so like, oh, you're fat. I'm like,
Yeah.
you're not even trying. Like it's kind of weird. Like I said, this is like how I grew. Like even now, I'm 26, and when I get with my brothers, it's still the same thing. The only difference is I can hold my own now.
Sure.
It's almost like a game for us. You know, like I said, luckily for them, when I went to high school, I still had that mentality. But at the same time, you're in high school and, people are always trying to prove themselves. People are always trying to be like, oh, we're the biggest, we're the baddest. And, when you're a big person, people automatically think, oh, he's a big person, who he likes, get into trouble. He likes doing this, and people assume so much about you and they try to mess with you. And in reality, it's like, no, I just really want to be left alone. Let me get my 4 years in and let me go,
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. For me, I know a lot of times, kind of like you were saying, where if your thing was good, if what you were saying was funny and it made me laugh, then we could be cool, and if not, then try again. But I know for me, I always try to kind of hide it under the guise of hey, I'm the big guy. I try to embrace it to a certain degree, like maybe people would think I'm cool if I kind of got behind it, like, yeah, I'm the funny big guy, and if I can make you laugh, then maybe you would be less likely to try to cut down on me and we could laugh about something else together. Was that something that was ever up for you, or yeah, so talk about that.
Yeah, like, see, for me, like I said, high school was harder because it was still I was still in that phase trying to figure out who I was and discover, who I wanted to be.
Right.
That because of my size, I was either like, oh, he's a funny guy, or, oh, let's try to, fight him because he's big and we're trying to prove a point. So even for me, it was either one of those two. So because of that, I allowed myself to, how do I say, I allowed myself to become a person who I wasn't. I allowed I had almost like you can say a mask on or like a shield that I wore, being this person who I wasn't.
Yes.
Like I said, in order to kind of survive, in order to be like, all right, he's this guy, leave him alone, and I did it so long that I was known as that guy, and I wasn't that guy. That wasn't me. That wasn't who I wanted to be, but that was who I was in the moment just because, like you said, oh, I'm that big guy. I let that be who I was, that big guy. Like I said, that even goes back to my name, that Big Guy 700. I was always like, oh yeah, you know who he is. Yeah, yeah, that big guy, you know? So
Yeah.
it was almost like a mask that I had on, and it took me a while to be like, no, that's not who I am. That's who I tried to be, or that's who I had to be in order to, because I felt like I had to survive. But in reality, no, I'm not that guy.
I think it's so tough, man. It's like, for people that are bigger like us, and this could be for women too, I feel like for the longest time, before we can truly accept, the situation we're in and, getting to where we're going to go here with how we make the change. But I think for a while, there's just that tough process of trying to be accepted, trying to fit in, trying to feel like, hey, it's like the elephant in the room, for lack of a better term. Like, yeah, I know I'm big. People are probably looking at me and they're probably judging me and they're probably saying, look at this big guy or whatever. But at the same time, again, if I can, like you said, mask, what I really am and put on this other kind of personality to charm the person or what have you, then maybe it'll make it easier on me and they won't judge me as less. Because I think that's the biggest fear. And what I talk about on this podcast so often, Maynor, is mindset, the mentality, and how much our mind can be our greatest enemy. It can also be our greatest ally, but we think and think and think so much that in a lot of times it gets in the way of what we really want to do and who we are.
Oh, dude, 100%. Like, I agree with you on that. Like, I agree with you 100% on that.
Yeah, it's just so tough. I talked about this on a couple of podcasts where it's like, in the gym thinking, oh, I can't do this exercise. Like for me, I was training for a 5K. Like, oh, I can't run for 15 minutes straight because I just can't do it. It's this mental block. But in reality, my body can do it. It's my mind that makes me fear that I can't, and then when I'm trying to run, gets control of my brain and gets control of my breathing, which gets control of my body and really slows me down to a screeching halt, which is, it's our mind. It can be our greatest enemy and our greatest ally.
No, yeah, 100%. Sometimes we psych ourselves out before we're even doing what we're supposed to be doing. I know that, yeah, I understand that 100%. Like, there's something more in the past, not as much now, where I would tell myself, no, you can't do that because this, and this. And then I would be like, no, yeah, you're right. I can't do this because this, and this. And now it's like when I'm in that mindset where it's like, okay, you can do this, and this. Is it going to be harder? Yes. Is it going to be, do you have to work more than other people? Definitely. But is it possible? Can you do this? Yes, you can. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Absolutely.
it's, yeah, like you said, it all goes back to mindset. Like, who you think you are is who you will become, and I believe that very, very, 100%.
At what point do you feel like a change needs to be made? Are you kind of always thinking this in the background of your mind and maybe it's just a mindset, or is there a point? I always feel like there's got to be some kind of moment, or maybe you look at a picture or something happens that triggers that boom, okay, something's got to change. What was that time or that thought for you where you said, okay, I really got to do something here?
It was about 2 years ago. I was in the hospital for about 10 days. I was recovering from a leg infection, and I remember it was the hardest thing I've ever been through because I went in, they checked me out. They said, oh, well, you have fever and we need to check you. And it turns out I had an infection in my leg. My leg was swollen and all that. And they checked it. And after I thought everything was going to be okay, they gave me antibiotics. The doctor walked in and he was like, no, we need to operate you very quick. And he's like, we need to check how far the infection has gone in, because if it is what we think it is, we have to stop it before it gets too far. If it gets in the muscle, we have to cut a piece of that muscle off. If it gets in the bone, we have to cut a piece of bone off. If it gets too advanced, we're going to have to cut your leg off because, it can get in your bloodstream, and if it gets in your bloodstream, then you're screwed. So for me, I was at that point, I was at my heaviest weight. I was at my lowest mentality-wise, where I was like, I was at a very bad place, and I got operated. Everything turned out fine. I was in recovery for about 10 days, and within those 10 days, I broke down mentally. All I could do for 10 days was look at myself in the mirror, I couldn't get up. I couldn't walk because the pain was too excruciating. If I put too much pressure on my legs, because my leg was already swollen, the stitches, right, you can still see like the meat because the stitches were being stretched out. And like I said, I was just at a very low point, and at that time, I was like, man, if I can get out of this, if I can recover this, if I can just get myself out of this situation,
Yeah.
then it's it. Like this is my wake up call. This is my like snap out of it call. And like luckily, thanks to my parents, thanks to my people around me, I recovered.
Right.
And from there, it was like, all right, cool. I said this, this, and this, and I'm gonna be, I'm gonna be a man of my word. And man, I'm so grateful for that situation where, all that pain, all that mental break, the mental breakdown and everything. It was the thing that saved me at the end.
Dude, I've got goosebumps right now because I have a similar story. I'll share it with you. This was probably 4 years ago, or almost 4 years ago now. We're coming up on the anniversary. I was in the hospital, coincidentally, also for a leg infection. I had a condition that was called cellulitis, and it had gotten to my leg. It basically discolored my leg, gave me a temperature of over 103, almost 104. It got really high. I nearly died, and I was in the hospital for 5 days. I didn't have surgery. They were able to catch it fast enough with antibiotics, but I'm just hearing your story, and I'm just like, oh my God, I was there. Like I know that I wasn't in the hospital nearly as long. I didn't have a surgery, but I know for me, I feel like it was crazy for me, dude, because I wanted to get out of there so bad, and
Right.
I was almost going nuts. I broke down. I was crying every day. I wanted to get out of there because I felt like I was locked up in prison almost.
Right.
And it was tough because this infection wasn't necessarily directly related to my weight, but I know that how the severity of it is likely what intensified it more and made it worse than it probably could have been. But I can identify, man, with what you're saying and realizing you want to make a change. Unfortunately for me, it took me another almost 2 years before I actually started, and I don't know how I haven't died in between that point, but it was really stupid. But I feel you, man. I feel you so strongly on that, bro.
Yeah, man. It's like those situations right there. It's either it's like life giving us an ultimatum. Like, all right, either you change or you don't, and you're gonna die. That's how I feel. Like I'm like, if I don't change this, if I don't change who I am gonna die. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but I am making my life shorter, and that's how I felt. I feel you on that. Where it's like, you have to make that choice.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And so when you got out, when when the surgery's done and everything comes out successful, how did you, what was kind of your process as far as, okay, now I'm going to start working out? Like, did you find like a gym and a trainer? Did you start going outside and walking? Like, what was your beginnings of really starting your journey?
Oh man, like it was even I wasn't even that. It was just me starting to walk in my apartment.
Yeah.
You know, as soon as I started walking, as soon as I can get mobility back, and I can actually sustain my own weight. I started walking in my apartment from the front door to the back door. I would do 1 round, 2 round, 3 round. Every day I would push myself a little more, and eventually it got to the point where like, all right, I'm gonna go around the neighborhood and all right, I'm gonna go around the what's it called, the park. And I started very like it took me a while to get to the gym. It took me a while to actually get to the level I am right now.
I love that you said that, Maynor, because I feel like there's a lot of people, we all see it on Instagram, where I think there's a lot of people that feel like they have to buy a certain number of things before they can get started. They got to buy different products, and I got to get these certain things in order before I can start working out. And one of the number one questions I get from people always is, how do you get started? How do you get started? I'm like, it's really simple, guys. just go outside and start walking. You're not going to get, the overnight results that you're looking for, because I feel like, and I don't know if this is what you see, but I feel like there's a lot of people that are so far in a damn hurry, they want this thing overnight, and it didn't take you overnight to build the weight you got. And it sure as hell isn't going to come off overnight. It's like you really got to start out slow, man. And, whether that's just going outside, walking around the block, I mean, these small differences will add up to big results in the long run.
Oh, most definitely, and I can say I was even one of those people. This isn't my first time trying to lose the weight. It isn't my first time on this journey. And before I started this journey, the one I'm at right now,
right,
I've tried looking for the easy way out. I've tried finding, weight loss miracles, quote unquote, and nothing worked for me. Nothing ever, because I was trying to find the easy way out, and the easy way out is not, the correct way, because it's not going to be long lasting. It's not going to stick when you want it to stick. It isn't until, you take your time with it, you learn from your mistakes, that you actually start seeing the change.
Exactly. It takes so long. I mean, for me, I'm 15, 16 months into this thing now, and I mean, it takes a long time. I'm maybe halfway of where I would like to be ultimately, but I'll tell you what, dude, I'm happy as hell now, because all the differences that have come in just even the first 6 months that I started, it's not just a number on a scale, it's how you feel. Don't even just look at how you feel, how you look. It's really in how you feel and how you can operate day to day, that really can blow you away when you put it in perspective. When you cut off all the mental stuff of, oh, what's the scale say, and all this kind of stuff. When you think about, man, how does this shirt fit now? How does how do I feel getting up out of bed or walking down a staircase? It's so huge when you really put in these small ideas into your brain, and you think about, wow, all this is now possible, or all this is now better because of these of the things that I'm doing, the foundation that I'm laying to really begin here.
Yeah, man. It's a lot of people are trying to build, but they don't want. The thing they don't notice is that everything starts at the ground. Everything starts with the foundation.
Right.
If you don't have a strong foundation, then your building is going to crumble. Your building is going to come down with time. So even if you feel like, oh my God, I'm getting these amazing results so quickly, it's like, all right, cool, but you didn't build that foundation. So usually what happens is, like, people start slacking, people start failing at what they do, and that's because, like I said, it takes, you got to build a certain way in order to make it last. In order to build that mental strength, in order to build that discipline, and a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people don't want that. A lot of people want that. I want this now. I don't care what I have to do. Let me do it. And then in some cases, you may get that. You may get the results you want real quick. But with time, you lack that discipline that you would have otherwise gained if you would have started building from the ground up.
Yeah, I feel like when you're laying that foundation, there are 4 pillars. This is what I say all the time, and I think it's so true. I think you can definitely echo this if this is what you're feeling, but I feel like there's 4 pillars that'll make anything successful. And this is not just weight loss, this is life. You got patience, consistency, hard work, and love yourself. And if you got all 4 of those things, not just 1 or 2 of them, or even 3 of them, I really believe you need all 4. And when you have all 4, you will win. You will succeed. I feel like if you don't love yourself, it's game over. You really have to figure out to love the body you're in while you're making the changes, and understand that everything you want is going to come in time. You just got to keep fighting for it.
Oh, exactly, man. Exactly. Patience, patience, patience.
Yeah, because it takes so long. I mean, nothing's handed to you. When we talk about your journey now, to date, you have lost over 200 pounds, correct?
Yes.
That is, dude, if I was sitting in that room with you right now, I'd give you a fist bump. So a virtual fist bump will have to do for now. That is incredible, man.
Thank you, man. I really do appreciate it. It took a lot of hard work, but I'm grateful to be at the point I am right now. I know I still have a long way to go, but like I said, everything takes patience and work.
And that, I mean, but that's still, I mean, that's a large number. And, you've done that now. You said it was about 2 years, roughly?
Yeah, about 2 years.
That's incredible. And this is all natural weight loss. There's no, you haven't done any kind of enhancements or surgeries or anything like that. This is all natural.
Yeah, before I had the leg infection, I was actually really thinking about getting the weight loss operation.
Right.
By my mother got it, and I saw the struggles she went through. I saw the struggles that, she was going through it with it. So I realized that if you either try to lose the weight naturally or you try to lose the weight by operation, everything has its own, set of struggles. Everything has a set of benefits. Everything has this and everything. So I didn't want to go through the struggles that my mom went through. I'd rather go through the struggle of trying to lose the weight, and at the same time, for me personally, I felt like the weight was something I've been dealing with my whole life, and I felt like the victory would have, the victory would taste much sweeter if it was, the weight was lost by my own hands, if the weight was lost because of my hard work, you know.
I feel you, and I think everybody's got their own situation. I don't look down on anybody that does the surgery. If that is your situation, if that's what you need to do, absolutely. I'm all, at the end of the day, man, I'm all for people getting healthy. I feel like we all have different ways of how we get there. You might take the highway, I might take the back road. Little Johnny down the street, he might take the parkway. We all have different ways of going, but we have kind of the same end goal. We're all going in the same direction, or at least we hope to. So I don't look down on anybody, no matter how they do it, as long as you're doing it. The only thing I really don't like is all these people, like especially on Instagram, they're trying to sell you all these different, supplements and pills and wraps and all this kind of stuff. And I really don't believe in that stuff. I feel like, that I don't really, I look more at that kind of stuff, like shortcut type stuff. But surgeries, natural weight loss, whatever you want to do, as long as you're in the direction of getting healthy, that's what I like. I can get behind that.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I do notice that a lot.
You probably get a lot of people in your DMs, man, trying to sell you some shit.
Yeah, it's funny. I get a lot of people trying to sell me some shit, and I get a lot of people trying to me because they want me to promote certain like pills or wraps. And honestly, I hate those messages because I don't believe in the pills or in the wraps or none of that BS.
Yeah. I don't see how that gets you to where you want to be. I think it's just people that are trying to make money. And again, you want to make money. I'm all for, let's hustle and get that dollar, but let's figure out some more creative ways to do it without deception and bad practice, I think.
And one of the things I have noticed, I'm not saying all of them, but I'm saying some, or probably even most of the people who promote these pills or promote these teas or these wraps, like they don't really know the struggle of what it is to be overweight. They've never been like overweight. Some of these people have been fit the entire life, so for them, like, oh yeah, let me promote this or this, something that I never took to get to this point, but not because they're paying me. I'm gonna promote it. Like, no, like, why you gotta lie like that? Like, you didn't use these pills to get to where you at.
Oh yeah.
And that I feel like that is deception. That is,
yeah.
That's when you start lying to the people, and I feel like that's when people start noticing, like, no, and that's what that you can get a lot of backlash for that. So I personally, I wouldn't promote, no pills or no teas or no wraps, because I don't take that stuff. Like the only supplements I really take are protein powder and vitamins. That's all I take. Besides that, nothing else.
There you go. That's all you can do. I do want to talk about Instagram and the community there, but before we get to that, we should really talk about kind of, you mentioned it took you a while before you got to the gym, but I see some of your posts on there where you're in the gym and you're doing all kinds of great stuff. So talk about kind of this, how you got into the gym, how comfortable you felt initially going into the gym and kind of getting like a workout plan that works for you.
Oh man, I remember when I first got into the gym, I was nervous. I didn't know where to start. I didn't know what to do. I felt like people around me were going to judge me for, not only being overweight, but it's like,
right.
You have that, a lot of people have that fear where it's like, oh no, I'm overweight. I can't go to the gym because I'm scared what people are going to say, or I'm scared what people are going to think. And I remember the first week was so mentally hard to get into that zone. But then I realized either there's two type of people that go to the gym. It's either the people who want to see the results, the people who are on their own personal journey and are too busy to even pay attention to you because, like that's kind of self-centered because he's like, there's other people that go there who are trying to better themselves, who are trying to get fit, so they don't have time to judge you or say something about you, right? And I say that's about 90% of the people that go there. The rest are people who are either gonna talk to you or talk about you or like, oh, this and that. But that's okay because you don't know who they are. They are strangers. They don't know your struggle. They don't know your journey. They don't know your pain. They don't know shit about you. So the opinion of those people, they don't matter. And regardless if they talk about you there's always gonna be somebody that's gonna talk about you. Always. Even for me now, like when I go in public, like
Yeah.
I have I have moments where people look at me, where people laugh, or and I remember that used to be so discouraging for me. But the more I grew mentally, it's like I realized, like, man, these people don't know me. These people don't know what I've been through. These people don't know the pain and the struggle that I've been through. So how can they accurately make an opinion about me when they don't know me? So it's like their opinion about me doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is what I think about myself.
Exactly. And I think, you keep moving forward, you keep doing what you're doing, and you're going to get to where you want to be. I always like to say, I saw this on a meme somewhere, and I think it's so true. The people talking crap behind you, they're behind you for a reason. You just keep on moving forward. They're behind you. They're not even in the rear view. You're not looking at them. They're just behind you in life. Their shit is broken, not yours. So, it's just, you just keep on moving forward. And I see you up in that gym, man. And that's what I love about the Instagram community. And that's how we met. And that's how a lot of the people, we've met have come on there. What I found, and this is not what I expected, but when I shared my journey, for instance, and I just started sharing it when I started in January of 17, I put it out there, and I really put it out there just for me. It wasn't even really for anything else. It was for the sole reason of I'm putting this up there so that the few friends that I do have, if they know what I'm doing and if I stop, they're going to notice and maybe they'll ask me and see if I'm okay. But what I did not expect, Maynor, was to find, thousands of new friends that will come on my page on a daily basis and send their well wishes to what I'm doing and encourage and support. And I'll do the same for them. It's really become a great, powerful community of incredibly supportive people that know the struggle. They may not be in your exact situation, but they can identify, and with that, together, we all make one powerful force.
Oh, yeah, man. For me, I remember I used to hate social media. I always did. Like, I didn't like it. I hated it.
Yep.
But I remember, I forgot where I heard it or where I read it is, be careful what you put online because what you put online is there forever. Once you put it out there, you can't get it back. So the first time I posted on Instagram, my thought was, all right, I'm gonna take that way of thinking and I'm gonna post. I want to lose this weight. If it's already out there, I already put it out there, so I can't take it back. So it was a way for me to hold myself accountable.
Yes.
And like I said, I didn't expect for Instagram to take off the way it did.
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting thing because you got on there roughly, I guess, 2 years ago, and it really was exploding then. I mean, I was always on there, but it was never like a weight loss kind of page. It was kind of just a personal page, just post, BS kind of, just, hey, I'm here, I'm there or whatever. But in January 17 is really when I changed the focus and was like, okay, I'm going to put this out there because like you said, it's going to be out there forever, and I make my page public. It's not a private or anything like that. I want people to come and see because I had a particular instance one time where I was at the gym and one of the people that worked there, they don't work there anymore, and they weren't rude, but they were like, hey, we've been looking at you and seeing you coming here every day, and we've been wondering, what is it that you're doing? What's your big secret? And I thought about that, and I was almost borderline offended in the sense of, hard work is not a secret, okay? If you at the Planet Fitness can look at my schedule as far as you see every time I've clocked in here or whatever, you can see that I put in the work. There's no secret here. And like we've talked about, there's no gimmicks, there's no products. I just showed up and put in the work. I go in there for an hour roughly, and I bust my ass because I know that if I do that, if I keep doing that, I'm going to get to where I want to be. So it's not a secret. And then I tell them, you know, if I tell them that and they say, oh, you're full of it, you know, clearly you've done something, you've used something. I say, no, go on my Instagram page. I point everybody to it and I say, you can see all 300 plus days that I've worked out because I post each and every workout that I do, and it's all there. It's all public. You can see everything that I've done, and there's no question of what has transpired here. You can all see it. It's all there for everybody to see.
Exactly. It's like, like the one thing that you cannot lie is hard work. Like hard work is hard work. Either you put it in or you don't.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. Now, as far as the community, obviously you built, a big following on Instagram. How has the community been to you? Have you had to deal with any kind of haters and trolls, or has it been mostly supportive, great people?
Man, you know what? The people on Instagram, the people that support me are amazing. Like I'm telling you, like they are awesome. Yeah, of course you have to deal with the one or two people who are there to talk crap. You got the trolls and all that.
Yeah.
But after a while, you start noticing that there's more people who support you. There's more people who want you to succeed than the people that don't want you to succeed. And, like I was saying before, the people that don't want you to succeed, the people that have a negative opinion towards you, they don't matter.
I'm with you, dude. I feel you 100%. Talk about as far as like dieting. What kind of diet have you put yourself on, and what has been helpful in that regard to helping you get down 200 pounds?
Well, for like one of the things I always like saying to people, especially people who haven't started their journey or just beginning to start, I always tell them, man, like start slow. I recommend just taking out all man-made foods away from your diet. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Like for me, when I stopped drinking pop or when I started eating junk food, like I've noticed that my weight started changing quick. Like for me, as soon as I started drinking pop, that was like 10, 15 pounds right away, because you're drinking so much sugar, and it's like that much sugar is bad for you.
Yeah, no, it's true. I know water has been a big thing for me. I drink probably 150 to 200 ounces of water a day, and it sounds excessive, but I just can't get enough of it. And on a day like a weekend, and I'll admit I still have my slacking as far as like on a weekend I won't drink enough water, and I really need to get harder on myself about that. But I notice the difference now as far as when I'm drinking it versus when I'm not drinking it. It's a big difference.
Yeah, of course. Like your body reacts to it. Like I notice usually, one of the hardest things I still have to struggle with is actually getting in all the water I'm supposed to drink. Because sometimes you need a lot of water.
Yeah.
But I noticed that as soon as I cut off the sugary drinks and I stick to water, like I've noticed even the changes in my body. Like
yeah,
my body doesn't cramp up the way it used to, or my muscles are. I feel a certain way. My joints don't hurt as much. So people, we don't get that water in that we need it. And like I said, I still struggle with it.
You still have rough days here and there. I mean, I think like we all do. But for somebody, have you had a string of bad days, or has it been mostly positive for you?
Oh no, I still struggle with this journey. Like, I still have my days where I'm like, oh man, where I feel like it still holds me back, and I believe that's something we all go through. That I feel like something, no matter how long you've been on the journey, or how hard you work, it's something that we all still have to go through, because people like even Possible Pat, who's one of the people I follow, I'm a big fan of Possible Pat. Like, he's come out with videos talking about like I still struggle with it, and I've lost the weight. I feel like, it's like it's a battle that we have to do every day, for the rest of our lives. It's I don't want it to sound a little discouraging, like, oh, what? I'm never gonna get over this. Like, no, don't look at that way. It's like we allow ourselves to get to a certain point, and now that we're here, we have to fight to get out of the situation. But it's a current battle we have to live with on a daily basis, every day. And not every day we're gonna be victorious. Not every day it's gonna be like, oh my God, I succeeded. Not every day it's gonna be like I had a great day. We all are gonna have those days where we mess up, where we slip up, and I feel like that's okay as long as we refuse to quit. Then that's okay. It doesn't matter how many times we fall. It doesn't matter how many times we slip up or have to start over. As long as we refuse to quit, then we can never really quit. We can never really stop.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that. I feel like, and it's not anybody's fault. It's more of a mental thing. But I feel like a lot of times we feel like if we have a bad day or a bad week, we feel like it's over, or we go up in weight, a pound or even a half a pound. I see people like they make posts about it where they're like, man, I went up a half a pound and oh my God, I feel like it's all over. Like, what have I done? And they write every excuse in the book. They're like, well, maybe I did this, maybe I did that. And it's like, man, you went up a half of a pound. This is your life. It's not the end of the world. You just get back on the game tomorrow, or if it's Saturday, you slipped and maybe Sunday you need to recover, then Monday you get back on it. But either way, it's not the end. And I know how frustrated we can get because I feel like, we want to succeed. We want to succeed quickly, but we got to put in the big picture in perspective. And that is slow down. And everything is going to work itself out. It will, as long as you stick with it. If your diet's on point and your workouts are on point, it will work itself out in the end. Just because you go up a half of a pound or what have you on one week doesn't mean it's all over. You're only just beginning.
Exactly. Like, there's something I always say on my posts. It's like failure isn't the end result. Like, failure is just part of the process. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're not failing, then you're not doing it right,
Yeah.
Like, for me, success is just a bunch of failures stacked up on each other until we reach success.
Yeah, Gary Vee talks about, losing, and I understand. He talks about why he loves to lose, and I finally get it because I feel like you have to lose in order to learn how to really win.
Right. Exactly.
Because if you don't lose, if all you do is win and win and win and win and win, then when you finally lose, it's going to bring you to zero.
Exactly. That's the exact same reason why I'm so grateful for the leg infection. I'm so grateful for the downfall. Like, I'm so grateful. I'm more grateful for all the bad things that's happened to me in life than the good things because of the bad things I've experienced, they allow me to enjoy the good things in life. It's like, how do you know joy without knowing pain?
Amen, dude. You've been so gracious with your time. I just have two more here, and then we'll wrap it up. But thank you so much. When you look at a couple of years down the road, I like to ask this of everybody. When you look a couple of years down the road, what are some of your goals in the next 3 to 5 to 10 years that you hope to have accomplished, weight loss or not? I mean, anything, man. Where do you see yourself in the next 3, 5, 10 years?
That's a good question. For sure, I'm still gonna be on my journey. That's not a question because I feel like, first of all, my journey is never really gonna end.
Right.
Because even when you hit the weight you want, even when you hit the goals that you want, like, okay, you hit them. That's not the hard part. The hard part is, okay, you got them. Now, how are you gonna keep that? But for sure, I know I'm still gonna be on my journey even if I hit my goals weight. But as far as that, man, I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know. I don't know what this life really holds for me. For so long, I was just so concerned.
Right.
Like, how do I say it? For so long, I felt like I was not living my life. I felt like I gave up on living life, and now that I'm back living life, I feel like, man, every day is a surprise because I don't know what I'm gonna get. Whatever my goals are today, if I accomplish them tomorrow, my goals are eventually gonna change, and I want to do everything else.
Right.
So, but one of the things I could say is I want to do everything and anything that interests me. Like, if something interests me, even if it's a bit, all right, let's go do it. Like, I want to still because I'm still figuring out who I really am as a person.
Yeah.
So right now it's just like, man, whatever opportunities jump in my way, I want to take them. I want to see where they're gonna lead. I don't want to be left wondering.
Well. To that point, Maynard, as like a sidebar, what's something that you've always wanted to do that maybe just because of your size that you've never been able to do? Is there like something like, I don't know, like for me jumping out of an airplane or like something like that? What's one thing that you've always wanted to do but in your current shape you just can't do that you're like, man, when I get to where I want to be, I'm doing this?
Yeah, like you said, airplane. I would love to go to California. I would love to, like, do a lot of things. Like, I want to travel. I want to experience new things. Like one of the things I really do want to do, like you, I want to jump out of an airplane. And the reason I want to jump out of an airplane is because I hate heights. Like, I
Me too.
hate heights, but I'm at that point in my life where it's like, if it scares me, then I want to take it head on.
Hell yeah, man. That's what I'm talking about. Live life to the fullest. I believe that strongly. We'll end on this. You've been such an inspiration to so many. You've lost over 200 pounds, which should not be understated. That is an incredible feat. So let's just pretend that somebody just clicked play on this podcast and they're just getting started on their journey. And for whatever reason, this is the very first thing they are hearing. And somebody like you who has lost over 200 pounds, which is absolutely incredible. What are just some of the beginner advice that you would give to somebody that is listening to the sound of your voice right now?
Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah?
Yeah, keep it simple. If you're just starting off, keep it simple. Don't. There's so many things now. There's so many diets out there. There's keto. There's intermittent fasting. There's this. There's that, and there's so much out there that it can kind of feel overwhelmed because you don't know what to do or where to start or what's gonna work for you. So, I recommend just keep it simple. Start off simple. Cut off man-made foods. Stay away from sugary drinks, and start off just by walking. Like, even though a big part of weight loss is also lifting weights, and I love lifting weights. I feel like if you're just starting off, just keep it simple. Start walking. Replace certain foods in your diet. Like, get comfortable with that mindset.
Yeah, I always tell people don't, I would always say like back off on certain stuff, maybe not cut it out entirely just yet. I know for me what really helped me out in the early beginning was portion control. Like just a blanket example, like, I used to have turkey, well, I still do. I have like turkey burgers and whatever the side is, green beans and corn. So I would used to eat 2 turkey burgers. So instead of 2, I just eat 1. And now I just have that 1, but I have it without the bun and I put it in a wrap. So like, instead of going cold turkey and say, well, goddamn, I'm just never going to have turkey burgers ever again. Instead of having 2, you have 1, and maybe with that 1, you just take out the bread and throw a wrap on it, or you just have it with no kind of cover up at all. You just eat the meat. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's like little things here and there that you can replace.
Exactly. I think if you go too hard, then if you fail, you're going to go too hard on yourself, and then ultimately you're just going to want to stop and end it all right there.
Right on.
So, Maynor, thank you so much for your time, dude. I've had a blast talking with you today. Tell the people, obviously I know, Instagram is your thing. Tell people where to find you, how they can get a hold of you, everything that you would want to plug. Let everybody know where to get you.
Oh, man, you can reach me on Instagram and on YouTube, at ThatBigGuy700, all one word.
Cool. I would definitely recommend that people check you out because if for some reason they haven't heard this, they need to check out what you're doing. There's one guy that he's also a bigger guy. I don't know if you follow this guy. If not, you should really check him out. His name is Niam. He calls himself Doing It Big. I don't know if you heard of this guy.
Doing It Big. I think I have.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I do follow him. He's from New Zealand.
Yes. I feel like you guys maybe are in kind of similar situations, and maybe you guys could talk to each other and network a little bit. I think you guys would be great, man.
I love him. Like, I love his journey. Like I said, one of the biggest things is I haven't gotten on a plane yet, but one of the things I would love to do is visit the world, like visit places where I have followers and supporters. And homies from New Zealand, right? And I've noticed I actually have a nice amount of supporters from New Zealand. So I would have loved to go to New Zealand, meet up with them or any of the people over there. I just want to, put a actual face to the community.
Yeah.
There's so many great people out there with so many great journeys that I would just love to meet some of these people, like you included. I would love to meet you in person.
Definitely. You know, I had him on the podcast a couple months ago, and he was always talking about one of his biggest goals was to ride a roller coaster. And I told him, I said, dude, when that time comes, you let me know, and I'm gonna get my big ass on a plane, and we'll go ride roller coasters. That seemed like one of the things he really wanted to do. And as far as me and you, dude, yeah, if you're ever in DC or if I'm ever in Chicago, let's hit each other up. I'd love to go do a workout with you or just hang out with you or whatever, man, for sure.
Oh man, definitely, definitely. That would be amazing, brother.
Hell yeah. Well, again, Maynor, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast, sharing your journey, sharing your story. And I would encourage everybody, ThatBigGuy700, Instagram, YouTube, if you want to hear more and see more, because you're in stories every day. You're always putting out, you know, motivational messages. And I think there's an incredible amount of value. You're such an inspiration. I think you've got a future in public speaking, man, doing talks and really encouraging people. You talk about travel in the world. I think on a stage, giving a speech, you would be incredible at that, because the way your delivery and how honest and raw you are, I love that about you, dude.
Oh man, thank you. I really do appreciate it. Hopefully one day, hopefully in the future, you know, like I'm down to like one of the things, what's it called, that I would actually like doing is actually doing more podcasts, because it's awesome. Like I said, I like talking to new people. It's like when you talk to new people, the experiences may be different, but the journey, the struggle, that's the same. That's what, you know, brings us together. I feel like what brings us together is the journey. It's the struggle, because we know, oh, you know, we know how we feel. We know the other people's pain. We know the other people's journey, you know, and I feel like that's what brings us close together.
That's what I love about this podcast, and I'll put this out there for anybody new coming in. You know, one of the things I do on here, Maynor, is I interview people from Instagram and people that I've never talked to. So maybe we follow each other and we've talked in DMs or whatever. But as far as like jumping on a Skype call, I interview people from Instagram to hear about their stories. And if there's anybody, I encourage you to check out kind of the list of people that have been on the podcast. And there's probably some names you recognize or maybe some that you don't. But that's one of the things I do. Like, you and I have never really talked prior to this day. So it's like we fire up the microphone, the Skype, and we have a conversation. And that's one of the things that I love about this community, is that I can get on a phone with you today and we've never had a long form conversation, and we just did an hour. And it feels like we've known each other for years. That's what I feel like.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's one of the things I actually like about, you know, this community and this journey, where, you know, people we have never met, but as soon as we start talking, as soon as you know that, you know, we introduce ourselves, it's like it becomes like, you know, we've been friends for a long time, and that's one of the things I love.
Absolutely. I think you and I have been following each other for probably 6 months, maybe more at least. And yeah, man, I feel like I've known you for years.
Yeah, man, that's what I love about this.
Hell yeah, man. So yeah, if anybody's listening, you want to share your journey, get a hold of me, shoot a DM. But dude, thank you so much, man. Thanks for coming on the podcast, and definitely at some point in the future, man, we'll get you back on, get an update, see where you're at, and I wish you all the best and continued success, man. You are kicking some serious ass. I'm so proud of you, man. Keep doing it, man. Hard work always wins.
Thank you again, brother, for the opportunity.
All right, my man. Take it easy.
All right, take it easy.
See ya.